Signs, she wants you to approach her and chat to her because she's interested in you and she's giving you some sort of a sign that she wants you to approach her. Now, I was recently on a coaching call and this topic came up. He's trying to figure out, he's navigating his day game sessions and in the clubs. He's trying to navigate this right now. And I decided to make this video because I thought it'd be a little bit more explanatory. I can put it more in depth and you guys can benefit from it as well for free, of course. But before we kick it off, I'm Dave and this channel is dedicated to giving you no bullshit, novel dating advice for the modern man. If you want to do some coaching with me, fill out the quiz in the description and we can get on with that as soon as possible, or boot camps as well, of course. So, signs she wants you to approach her. Now, to make it simple, see, the hardest thing to do is to grab something so complex like this, have a depth of understanding, and then explain it in a simplistic way. Now, let me try to do that. The overarching philosophy is, if it looks like she might be giving you an indicator of interest, she's looking at you or something. If you spend too much time wondering, is she actually interested in you? You're looking for excuses not to go and approach her, and that goes against what we should be doing. We should be doing the total opposite, which is looking for excuses to approach her and get her number and speak to her and bring the type of girls that we are attracted into our lives. You see? So instead of looking for, oh, okay, is she interested or is she not interested, we should be looking for reasons to justify talking to her and being social and meeting new people. And if it's the girl of your dreams, if you don't approach her, you know, you lose 100% of the shots you don't make. That's what they say. So that's the overarching philosophy, that we're looking for reasons to talk. We're looking for reasons to engage a beautiful girl that we're interested in. That's the overarching philosophy. Not the overarching philosophy of, is she interested, or if she's not interested, I'm not going to take that opportunity. You see what I mean? So this is the best mindset to take into it. Now, first one, work. So the work scenario, and this is a personal story of mine. I was, if you read my book, there was a point there where I was actually working in a factory. I had an awful upbringing, and at one stage, you know, grew up in poverty. I was working in a factory, and there was one girl who was, you know, a cute girl. She kept looking at me every now and then, but it wasn't like a smile. It didn't look like she was friendly. It didn't look like she was really that interested in me. But she would just look at me, and so she'd be with a group of friends and she would like glance over here, and if I noticed her, she would like look away. It was so small. And once we were in the cafeteria, and she, it seemed like deliberately with her left hand reached over here to pick something up off the table. There was some food or coffee or something like that on the table, and it seemed a little bit like she was getting into my space. I later on ended up dating that girl because those were two indications of interest. It seemed like she wanted me to approach her, and it took me a while to get it, right? Especially in the workplace, you have to be very careful, but those were very strong signs in my opinion. And if you're in that type of situation where she's getting in your space and she's looking at you quite often, girls don't really look at guys. They don't really look at guys unless they're attracted to them. We are all just a whole mass of men all over the place, and we're not really that attractive to women. If one of us is attractive to a woman, she will look at you consistently. So keep that in mind. Just looking is good enough. I ended up dating that girl, and it was her wanting me to approach her. That was what the sign was. Getting in my space, looking at me quite often. I was once in the mall. This is in another job. I went to the mall in my lunch break. I'm walking into the mall, and this beautiful girl who had just finished working in the she was working in some sort of clothing store, and she was, you know, managing it. She's walking by and she looked at me. Now, in that moment, I thought, oh, this is my chance. And so I turn around, start power walking back. I was like, hey, how you going? We start walking and talking. And she said that she wasn't even looking at me. See? She said, I wasn't even looking. I didn't even notice. So she was probably just looking past me. I took that as a sign. And see, this is what you guys need to blast through. You need to think, okay, well, I'm looking for reasons to meet this beautiful girl that might have looked in my direction. And she claims that she wasn't even looking at me. She was just looking past me. She's probably looking at something else or thinking or something else. Well, anyway, I ended up getting her number. We ended up dating. And she was a model, so it worked out really well. But if I had have thought too long about whether she was actually interested in me or not, it never would have happened. You miss 100% of the shots you don't make. Third one, I was in a pool, and I had some cousins around, and they were like little tiny cousins. Around this time, admittedly, I was quite jacked. I had a bit of a six-pack going. I was quite jacked, and I was picking up my cousins like this and throwing them into the pool. So it was at a just like a public pool, and there was this beautiful girl in a bikini, and she just was supermodel 10, like literally supermodel 10 body, like you wouldn't believe. Aussie girl, like you wouldn't believe. I was picking up my cousins, and every time I was making a ruckus and I was loud and the kids were laughing and giggling because I was throwing them into the pool, she would glance over. That was enough indication of her being interested in me, a sign that she wanted me to approach her. And I saw her the very next day sitting at a bench not far from the pool. And I walked over and I sat down and go, hey. And literally within 30 seconds of introducing myself, she goes, oh, I'm from the country, I'm, whatever, you want to have a drink? She actually, it was her idea. She goes, let's have a drink. I was like, okay, let's go. And then, we spent the night together. And that was all based off me making a bit of a ruckus, she glancing over, not just once, not twice, and it wasn't like she was glancing as if she was, this fool's making a lot of noise. It was more like just interested, that's it. There wasn't a huge thing. And if anything, you're looking, as I said before, for reason to be social and meet beautiful girls, not looking for reasons not to do it. So what are 1, 2, 3, 4? 4. We got a fourth one. Now, once I was at it was like a backyard type party. They had a veranda. Everyone was drinking around, and I was with a group of guys. And I didn't really know too many people at the party. And these two Aussie girls, they were just outside of our range. We have a group of guys, and they were just outside of our range, standing together. And their body language was like this. One was here, and it was like this this was how it was. And I was there where you are. So they were their body language was facing me. It wasn't like they were looking at me, but their body language was positioned and it was open for me to approach. And they were talking and they would giggle amongst each other, but there was no reason for them outside of our group to be up against the railing like this, positioned looking at me. And it was positioned directly at me. It wasn't necessarily the other guys there. Maybe I got it wrong, I don't know. But the positioning was, their body language was very open to me. This is definitely a huge sign that these girls wanted me to walk over there. I had a drink or two at that stage, so I go over and I go, hey, how you going? And then one of them seemed a little bit more interested, or maybe it was just the closest one, and I said, hey, you want to go for a walk? We ended up in the back seat of my car within like a couple of minutes. So body language is very, very important, and if you see that, look for excuse to go over and say hello. If they're not interested, it doesn't matter. You can go over and just have a conversation about the weather if you want. It doesn't really matter. Party girl. This is another party. I remember entering a party and I was with a group of guys as well, but I was kind of at the back. We all walked in together. I didn't know anyone at the party. I was going with these other guys. We walked in and they said hello to a group of girls, and there was this one girl in the group. None of the other girls looked at me, but there was one girl in the group that turned her back to all of her friends, looked up at me like this and smiled. That was the best sign that she wanted me to approach her ever. And I was like, it was like we were just walking straight into each other. And yeah, I ended up dating her for about a year and a half as well. So these are all really obvious signs. Another thing that I have noticed is that in a nightclub, if the girl's dancing, if she's dancing and she's looking at a friend, not looking at you, that's not a sign. But if she's dancing and she's looking at you, that's like the most obvious sign ever. Open body language towards you, dancing, looking at you, that's a huge sign. Once I went into a nightclub. This was quite a while ago as well, and there was a group of guys, and this cute blonde goes up, and there's a group of guys there. She meets all the guys, and I was literally just choding it on the side of the dance floor. Literally just choding it on the side of the dance floor. I was there by myself. I had a drink, and she goes in. She meets all the guys. There's about 5, 6, 7, 8 guys all together. I don't know where the girls were. She was like the only girl there, and she, while she's meeting them on the dance floor, turns and looks at me. And she wasn't like she stared for a long time, and she had not been drinking. She literally had just got into the club, and she looked at me. And so just looking in a nightclub is good enough excuse for you to go over there and introduce yourself. I walked straight over there, and I think the first thing I said was, "Can I have a dance?" And then we literally moved away from the group of guys and started kissing straight away. We ended up dating for about a year as well. So these are all signs that, you know, there's a lot of signs out there. Another one was, there was this German guy. I met a German guy, tall, good-looking German guy, and blonde hair, and he had been in Australia for 2 years. And this was before I was actually coaching, paid coaching. I said, yeah, I'll take you out and I'll show you around. Good looking guy. If you're a good looking guy and you're under 25, I can turn you into a total demon. Like literally like that. It might take a little bit of time depending on who you are, but this guy, he wasn't very outgoing, German, you know, very logical. And we went literally on the first day, and there were these 3 girls walking by, and we walked the opposite direction, and they didn't look at us when we were going past them like this, but when they got behind him and they looked behind him as he's walking away, it seemed like the 3 of them started giggling like ha ha ha, and they like all looked at him. He didn't even notice it. And I just said, hey. And one of them was literally really hot. I said, hey, those 3 girls were just checking you out. He's like, huh? I was like, oh my God, no wonder you haven't got laid in 2 years. And so we went over there. I spoke to the other friends. I said, that one, you have to go for that one. And I'll speak to the friends. And we got around. The 2 friends were not interested in Grandpa. But the really beautiful one just looked up at him, and boom, her eyes lit up. She's like, ah. And then these guys started dating pretty much straight away. It was just on, because this was a huge sign of interest. When girls get together and they giggle and they kind of look in a direction, they're like, oh, I like this guy. He's attractive. He's hot, right? Another one was a guy who is, well, he's a coach, but he's obviously not a very good coach. I took him out for a session. We were hanging out, and once we were in a mall, and there was a girl that was spraying. She worked in the mall. She's one of those beautiful girls that works in a mall and sprays the cologne. She goes, "Oh, would you like to try this?" You know, those beautiful girls that they hire in the upmarket, the high class perfume and cologne stores. Well, we were walking by. He was dressed literally like a bogan Aussie with the tight pants and like a singlet on. He was dressed awfully, but she, you could tell that she was talking to a friend, but her body language was following him as he moved while she's talking to the friend, and she glanced a few times. He didn't notice that, and so I say, "Hey, look, she literally just showed a huge sign that she's interested in you." And he said, "Really?" I said, "Well, which one?" So I pointed out the girl that he was looking at him. He literally walked straight over there. There was no conversation. There was no building rapport. He just walked straight over and goes, "Do you have Instagram?" No, seriously, that's literally what he did. He got her Instagram like that, and I think they slept with each other a week or 2 weeks onwards for a couple of weeks, and then it ended. But that was literally on. It was a sign. She gave the sign. You have to be able to see the signs. But if you're not sure whether it is a sign, as I told you from the second one in the mall, you should still be just looking for excuses to be social and meet new girls. So hopefully that has been helpful to you guys. If you want some coaching with me, we can do some one-on-one coaching. Fill out the quiz in the description, and we can get on with that as soon as possible. I'm also doing boot camps as well, but you got to fill out the form, and we can get on to that as soon as possible. If you like this video, click the subscribe button and click the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next video.